Okay, we've got a very interesting energy approaching right now. And this is the energy of the next ring in the spiral. We're turning a corner here. You know how when you've got one of those like metal balls, it's going down one of those tracks, and it goes around and around and around. It gains momentum every turn. It goes whoosh, a little bit faster, a little bit harder, except we are reversing the direction. It's an upward spiral, not a downward spiral. But we are still gaining that same momentum that gravity would give to propel you up around the next ring. So what's interesting here is we can actually map out this next leg of the journey. It almost reminds me of... That's too complex a thought right now, Spirit. It almost... I guess the best parallel here would be this last elevation. You can kind of see throughout the journey how it mirrored the previous year. The gift from Spirit right around Christmas. The elevation coming into January. Things are following a pattern. And we are on the next elevation, but going through similar events. So in order to map out what happens next, we need to look back at what events transpired between January and March here. January and March was all about liberating ourselves, personal freedom, redefining our own space. This is when I moved out of the bedroom with my ex, and I moved into the living room temporarily between January and March, and made it my own space, made it my own area. And that was the separation of that energy. And the year before that, that was right around that January to March area was where I was going through the thick of it. That was when the billboard incident happened. When the twin flame came in and triggered me. So we had a trigger between January and March in 2023. In January to March in 2024, we had the first big step in our independence. That wasn't when everything went down with the twin flame, though. That was simply the first trigger, the beginning. And we saw during the crystallized reading that T.S. Eliot quote came up. For we shall never cease exploration, for the end of all exploring will be to arrive at the beginning and know the place for the first time. So we might be going through a similar series of events here, almost replaying the cycle of growth and independence that we experienced in the last year or two, only this time conditions are different, they're more favorable. We are 2 levels up from where we were, but we still have those echoes. And there wasn't anything really terrible that happened. It was all about freedom, independence, choosing our purpose, choosing life, choosing to continue on no matter what, choosing, in this case, to do good. That quote from Peter, I'm blanking on his name right now, Jordan Peterson. I love Jordan Peterson. But that quote by Jordan Peterson about choosing to do good and having that be the antithesis of victim mentality is relevant here. The growth that we experienced in the last 2 years has been absolutely incredible. And that will be mirrored again this time, on this elevation. Rising Above also happened right around that same period of time. It was right around January, and this time it was late December. It's funny how things come full circle. We come full circle like a serpent caught in the wind. Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, the eternal circle, that was a bracelet I wore. We wore an Ouroboros bracelet. That was actually the gift that I got for the twin flame. We've got some kind of deception and solitude here, introspection. There is a truth that we need to recognize here. What is it? Breakthrough or another truth. Slow, stable movement forward. This could be about... You want me to speak my truth? Okay. I was really thinking after the crystallized video about that Five of Pentacles that ended the video. Because in January of last year and the year before, I felt abandoned. I felt abandoned by the false twin shortly after the whole situation where the twin flame triggered me. It was right after that happened that he came to my store and I got wrapped up in all of that. I then felt abandoned by my ex the next year because I thought that we were ride or die, even going to be ride or die as friends after we broke up. Because that's what we always talked about. We said, if it happens, we won't abandon each other. If it happens, I'll still be there for you. If it happens, you're still my family. And as soon as it happened, he didn't hold up his end. So I felt abandoned. But that, too, both of those situations propelled me. They propelled me in my fitness journey, my weight loss, my desire to quit my addictions. And that's what Spirit is trying to give us now. We are gaining fuel. So maybe that's... If there's a situation in my life right now that mirrors that kind of abandonment, that would be the fuel for fast movement and discipline. It doesn't, of course, have to go that way. Because, as we've said before, the masculine that is meant for us breaks those patterns. He doesn't facilitate those patterns. So, really, whether it's meant for us or not will depend on what they choose. Because all of the masculines that we have read for had that potential. And some have chosen to lean into certain behaviors, and some have chosen to, despite strong emotions, leave anyway. Full circle. So, if it's right, if it's the right person, if it's the right scenario, if they actually care about us, they will break that pattern of abandonment. And if not, we're okay. I think that was what Spirit had us dealing with all of these latent emotions. Maybe that's not what they were trying to prepare us for. Let's take a deeper thought here. We have 30 seconds. I think that it instilled further that I'm going to be okay no matter what happens. Because emotionally, I'm not distressed about anything. I'm ready for whatever the universe brings next.